Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. Hey, it's your man Lloyd Spence, and listen, from all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. Here's what you got to do. Head over to the website or use your mobile devices to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to get started. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds right to the Olympic coverage. It is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino game, BetOnline is your number one online wagering destination. So, it's BetOnline, y'all, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. So go to BetOnline, where the game starts.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in a bag of a can. You can make it round the world and the holes in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Furniture Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
You see what it is. You see what it is. That's right. Look at all this gloriousness.
More, celebrate more, celebrate more, celebrate more, yeah. Top in the morning took it from the other side, and yeah, I've been in hell and back, I could've swore I died.
We just wanted to make sure Charlie Ward knew we was once again starting the morning in full humble flex mode. What's going on?
Y'all are so wrong. Like,
what?
Really?
Listen,
I understand, yes. I appreciate it.
We are the proud little brothers running around telling anybody that listen, my big brother did something your little brother can't do, or your big brother can't do. That's what we telling them. So we got our championship shirts on.
All
we ready
right.
this morning. We ready to rock and roll.
I see you representing.
Yeah. This is nose country right now. Let's go. How you feeling this morning, Coach?
I'm feeling clean. I got a clean mouth. I just got it from the dentist.
Well, I guess that's important. A clean mouth is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's good though.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys haven't guessed it by now, this is BLEAV in the ACC. That's Coach Charlie Ward, the state championship coach for 2022. 3A boys, just doing his thing out here, living his best life with a clean mouth and a championship trophy. That's what he's doing. That's how he's getting down today. And then that's Kendrick Haskins over there, high on love and state championship love, and also probably high on some type of sinus medicine because he's a little, little nasally today. We both are a little nasally.
No joke today.
Right. Both of us are a little nasally today, but that's okay. But man, we're glad to be here with you this morning. Got a lot to discuss. What a first week in the tournament. Wow. Apparently we had the ACC all wrong. We was out here saying, oh man, this is a down year for the ACC. And
both sides.
On both sides, it's just not going to be as good. And clearly we didn't have that picked out well at all because, man, the ACC came out firing on all cylinders. What you say, Kendrick?
Maybe we too close to the situation.
You know what? Sometimes you can be a little too close to the fire, and you can't see the beauty of what's really taking place right before your very eyes, and clearly we missed it.
So also, how about you can also hear the outside noise of what is not, when in actuality it could be something very good, because we looked at the ACC and said the basketball was down and all all the things, and that was the narrative around the records and their out of conference and all the different things that they had going on, and then SEC was getting all the love because they had teams in the top 10, and they were very very good in a lot of ways, record wise, and outside the conference. Big Ten, same thing, and so when it's all said and done, when you start adding the little people, as they call them, the mid majors and all the other double digit seeds, in the tournament, anything can happen, as we see. And right now the ACC has 3 in the Sweet 16, which people didn't see happening. But I'm grateful to say that we still have at least 3 at this point. I'm not sure how many will happen after tonight and tomorrow, but we still have a chance.
Which is more than you can say for some conferences who bragged all season long about how good their conference was. So let's go backwards.
I live in the heart of that.
You live right in the heart of that. And by the way, I enjoyed last week celebrating St. Peter's Day. It was awesome. I had my peacock feathers going. It was just a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm looking forward to celebrating it every year going forward. So let's go back before we go forward. Man, the shockers of, I guess, the first rounds. The big one is probably Notre Dame over Alabama. Well, I say that's the big one, but really, you can argue that it was
St. Peter's is a big shot.
Well, I'm speaking specifically ACC, but you're right. The biggest shocker, without question, was St. Peter's over Kentucky. That was unbelievable. But specifically ACC, Notre Dame, and then also Miami. So I got a call from a friend of mine saying, "Hey man, how come you didn't tell me about Miami?" I was like, "Cause I ain't seen that Miami. We've been watching Miami all season. I ain't never seen them play like that. They looked amazing.
Not the way they did against Auburn, no.
Right? Yeah. So,
but the one thing I can say, and we've seen this time and time again. If you're going to advance, like in these one and done tournaments, you have to have solid guard play.
Guard play, yes.
And if you have solid guards with some sprinkled in, bigs if you want a big, but the guard play has to be solid in order for you to advance. And Miami, they have great guard play.
And to that point, Charlie, and we'll stick with Miami just for a second. Auburn has had up and down guard play all season long. And when their guards are on, they are almost impossible to beat. But when they are off, man, they are all the way off, and it falls all the way off. Like the whole thing just falls apart. And that's really essentially what happened in that game. Miami they have good guards, and I think they're rounding into shape. Like, and I guess it's funny. One thing that I think March reveals every year is the culmination of a year of what the coach has been saying. Like the teams that finally it clicks, they go on a run. They go on an unexpected run. The teams that it never clicks, they end up doing exactly what they end up doing. Like they may win one game, but or they may win two, but they ultimately end up going out. Now Miami may end up being that team as well. We don't know. But man, the way they looked against Auburn, I was like, that Miami team can beat anybody in this tournament.
Yeah.
and what they can come out of that bracket because I'm not that enthusiastic about their bracket, so they could easily come out of there. I mean, Kansas is the top seed in that bracket, and we know Kansas, they're liable to not show up at any point. So
it's pick 'em with Kansas always.
Right, so Miami's got a serious shot to make the Final Four. I think it'll be the first time in school history, won't it?
I think so. That sounds right.
Have they been to the Elite Eight?
I was gonna say I don't remember them being
to 16's it.
Wow, isn't that crazy? Jim Larenega's been there how long? 20 years?
He's been there what, 10 years?
Is it just 10? I thought it was longer than that. Okay. Man, but yeah, I don't ever remember Miami getting past Sweet 16.
All right.
So, what you were about to say something, though, Charlie, about Miami?
I was just saying, about guard play. Sometimes when we talk about guard play, we think about scoring, but that's not always the case. You need those guys to be able to score, but to be able to control the game, the flow of the game, get shots to the right people, and that's what you're starting to see with North Carolina as well. Their guards were a little erratic early, early in the season, but coaches seem to have settled them down a little bit. And I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I think it's number 4, who had a very good game the other night.
For North Carolina?
Yes.
Oh, what is his name? Keep talking amongst yourselves.
It's not Love. Love is number 2.
No, it's not Love. I know what you're talking about. It's Davis.
Yeah, Davis.
Yeah.
Had a solid game the other night before Manic had to be dismissed. But he made plays when he needed to make plays, and of course Manic had his game. But when you start to have great success, you start to see the guards making good decisions. I'll just say that, making good decisions with the basketball on the offensive end. Of course, everybody has to play defense. That's a given. But when it comes to offense, you have to have guards that can control the game and get the guys who need the basketball shots.
And, when you look at North Carolina's roster, really and truly, it shouldn't be this much of a surprise that they're playing this well in the tournament. When you look at the experience they have, the talent that they have,
right?
It's not the usual North Carolina talent, but they're a talented group. They've just been inconsistent for the last 2 or 3 years, to be honest. It's not just this season.
Yeah, but it's not the new system that made them inconsistent.
Right.
It's their identity.
Right, but their experience now. I mean, Leaky Black seems like he's been in North Carolina since Jordan was there.
Yeah.
So they've got the talent, they've got the experience to make them run. I wasn't surprised. I actually picked them to beat Baylor. I think we all picked them to beat Baylor, didn't we?
No, we did not.
Because Baylor has so many injuries. But I mean,
well, in my bracket though, I still went with Baylor.
Make some noise.
No, listen, they're right there. The only thing is, and we had just to let people behind the scenes, we had an interesting discussion on our group chat about this. I still say, even though Manic went out, right? I get it, but 25 points, giving up 25 points almost in a row, it's a lot of points. And that was also the North Carolina team we've watched all season, giving up leads. The guards lose, like to your point, Charlie. The guards, I don't know where they just forget basketball all of a sudden. We've seen that North Carolina all season long as well. It worked against Baylor barely. I don't know if it works going forward against like UCLA.
But UCLA is not going to present that same type of problem because they don't pressure the way
Baylor does. Yeah,
Baylor did. But Baylor didn't pressure until they got behind, and that's what most teams do.
Right.
When you get behind, you start to pressure the basketball even more. And so I do believe if I'm coaching, putting on my coaching hat, I guarantee they're prepared for the next press. Even if they didn't even if they don't show a press, they're ready for that next, whatever that next press or pressure is from an offensive standpoint. North Carolina, I'm speaking of. So they won't get caught off guard, hopefully, again, as they move forward. So UCLA is a different animal. They play a different style. And so, if they get down 25 points, then UCLA is going to have to go out of character and do something that they normally don't like doing, which is pressure in full court.
Right.
But, it is what it is. So it should be a very good game.
Well, let me say this. First of all, Hubert Davis can call you if you put on your coach hat because you have a state championship and he doesn't. So let's start with that. I don't disagree with anything you're saying there. My concern is that UCLA is decent on the inside. So can they pound the ball down? Well, listen, and here's the irony of it right now. The two teams, the way that North Carolina was basically beating Baylor, I don't know if they can do that with UCLA and Purdue. Like Purdue, especially, because that is so. I went in this tournament thinking, okay, well, Purdue's not going to get, they'll make it to maybe the Sweet 16 and or the round of 32, and then that'll probably be it. And man, Purdue has looked outstanding. Like
Purdue was my Final Four pick out of that bracket.
Yeah, they look outstanding. Their bigs are playing solid. They look so now. North Carolina is that path to them that maybe was kind of clear talent wise, maybe not so much because those are two tough matchups with UCLA and Purdue from a size perspective. Although Purdue may get beat by my new favorite team in the entire thing, St. Peter's, because they're not afraid of anybody.
They're not.
Right.
They are not afraid of anybody.
I mean, they St. Peter's, the defense they play is fantastic. Murray could not get an open look against them. And same with Kentucky. Sheboy went off on them, but that was it.
Yeah.
But they totally shut down Kentucky's guards, and it was the same thing against Murray. Tevin Brown couldn't really get going. KJ Williams never really got going for Murray, and it was because of their defense. That's what impressed me more than anything, is just how hard they play on the defensive side of the ball.
Kentucky had the best player on the court. St. Peter's far and away had the best team. Like it wasn't. I don't think it was even close.
I was saying with Murray. Murray had had the two best players on the court. But
yeah, they just look really good. But as their coach says, we're from New York. We're not afraid of anybody. I was like, oh,
which is the most New York thing I've ever.
That is the most New York thing to say. Absolutely, I was impressed with that, by the way. And then of course the elephant in the room, in the West bracket. So, as I say often on this show, the NCAA March Madness is undefeated. It's to me far and away the most flawless tournament ever created because it's always going to produce excitement and fun and joy and the whole nine. But if ever there was a TV show moment, it was the round of 32. Because if you didn't think that Tom Izzo and Mike Krzyzewski were going to end up in that game together, you have not been watching the tournament long enough because that was inevitable. And that game, and by the way, game lived up to the hype in the second half. First half was a little tough to watch, but the second half was really good. I just wonder, is that the real Duke team? So I ask you guys, is that the real Duke team? That second half of Duke basketball, is that the real Duke team?
Well, it's definitely the one that they're going to need if they're going to want to advance. And, you know, I think they got pushed, which was great for them. You need those types of moments, especially when you have a lot of young players that you're dependent upon. And those guys have been through the fire. You know, they're young, you know, as far as some of them being their first year. But they do have some veterans like Wendell Moore and the Williams kid. Mm-hmm. Those guys have been stepping up, producing and playing at a high level here lately. So, you know, I don't know. They're only playing maybe 6 or 7 guys, which that's what most teams were doing this day. But if someone gets in foul trouble, you know, they're going to need some other guys to put in some minutes. But I think they have a chance. I mean, they have guys that can go get you a bucket. And Banchero, like, if you need a bucket, I get you one. And so that's kind of, if you're coaching the team, you kind of need those guys that can get you a bucket, whether it's your own bucket or opening the door for somebody else to be able to get one. And so I think they have a chance, just like everybody else at this point. But if they play the second half, play the way they played the second half, where they did get pushed and it wasn't like easy for them and they had to find a way, I think they can persevere.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, beginning of the season, I mean, when the season first started in that Duke Gonzaga game, we felt like Duke may be the best team in the country. I think a lot of the pressure of Coach K's last season kind of got to him towards the end of the year.
I was going to ask that.
And so now I think it feels like the weight's been lifted off their shoulders as far as that last game. And there's probably a little bit of a hangover from that last game in the ACC tournament. And it feels like they kind of might be settling back into the team we thought they were. And so, I mean, they're a scary team. And then if we get that rematch with Gonzaga, who knows? I mean, Duke might take them out.
Who would Duke rather see, Gonzaga or Arkansas?
Of course, Arkansas, because you never know what Arkansas team's going to show up.
Well,
Gonzaga's going to show up.
I think that's true. I think that's true offensively for sure. I don't know if that's true defensively. I think the reason why Arkansas is where they are now is because of their defense. It's not because of their. You're right. Offensively, I don't even know if you can call it pick them on their offense. It's like somebody make a play, please. Like they're begging somebody to shoot the ball. But defensively, Arkansas was funny about Arkansas. They're just like Houston. To me, they're just like the same. They're almost mirror images of each other. Their defenses are so stellar that they stumble into points because their defenses are so good. So
I heard a stat that they're shooting 35%.
It sounds about
right now, and they're in the Sweet 16. And so that just says
right.
that they're doing a lot of other things to help them win these games.
Yeah, so here you have it. This is your Sweet 16. A lot of interesting matchups left. So should be some really incredible games. I honestly don't know how this is going to turn out because so if you start down where in the I guess that's the Midwest, Kansas on paper looks like they got the easiest route, but I don't know if that's true because man, Ed Cooley is coaching this behind all, and Providence looks amazing. So can Kansas pull that off?
I mean, they can. I mean, they have the most talent out of those 4 teams left in their bracket, but Providence is playing really well right now. Kansas has their reputation. And so, I mean, Providence is going to push them.
Yeah,
I mean, when you look at those 4 teams, you would expect Kansas to be there, but they're the number 1 seed, and that's kind of like, not death, but those guys normally don't last when you have a 4 and an 11 and a 10. At some point, you feel like one of those teams are going to knock them off.
Right.
That's just the way things go. You expect them to be there because they're the number 1 seed, but
right.
And then the other teams have They play well, but like Iowa State, I mean they caught fire.
Yeah.
Then Miami's caught fire, and so if you get one of those teams, then in the next round, you got Kansas there. I mean, any of those teams could beat Kansas. So it's a tough call, and it's just one you have to make off your gut. Like, that the one may not last. Like, who's the team that can knock them off?
And it's not like Kansas not to tank it, like to throw. To just completely screw up that game. I mean, that would be on brand. Somebody earlier this week asked me, well, who are you talking about when you say that? Bill Self or Roy Williams? I said both. Both have done it. They've listened. I think it's just something in the waters of Kansas. They just at some point you can almost expect a Kansas team to disappoint you. So who you guys going with on that one? I'm curious.
I'm gonna stick with Kansas, but I'm not super excited about it. I picked them to come out of that bracket anyway, but I wasn't sold on.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say it with any measure of confidence.
No.
Charlie, which way are you going on this one?
Well, I'm being a homer. I'm going with Miami.
Is that allowed? Is that allowed for a Florida State guy to pick Miami in anything?
And
I think as long as he doesn't throw up the U, it's good.
My wife is a UM alum.
Oh, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, a loophole. I'm happy that works. That works. Take the loophole, Charlie. All right. So Charlie's going full on upset.
Where are you going?
God. Listen, I'm being honest. If that Miami team that showed up in the first 2 rounds shows up this weekend, I think it's Miami, and it's not even close.
Because you can make a case for all 4 teams.
You can make a case for all 4, but I'm gonna tell you, and this just goes back to what Charlie said: guard play wins the championship, and I don't know if anybody's guards played better than Miami. Like they really did their thing. So I think I'm gonna get in the car with Charlie, and let's see where it takes us. But boy, this is gonna be quite something. This is gonna be quite something. So, all right, what are we doing up at the top there with Arizona, Houston, Michigan, and Villanova?
I mean, those are 4 solid teams.
Yeah,
as you can tell. I mean, I'm not 100% sold on Arizona. A lot of people like them, but I mean, TCU probably should have won that game the other night.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Houston is a little different when it comes to their defense. And also they're going to have more guys on the floor that can score the basketball. And so I don't see Arizona winning, beating Houston.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the game I'm most excited about in the Sweet 16, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too.
Should be a very good game.
I am too, to be honest. Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm going with Michigan. Just because affiliation with the people there.
I got you. Okay.
And Villanova, I love their game. I just like watching them play. But I don't know. They seemed like they struggled the other day a little bit, even though the game wasn't really close at the end. I don't think,
Yeah.
if I remember. But they did struggle throughout to manufacture points and to close them out. But so I don't know. It's either Houston or Michigan. I'm torn between. Um, but I like Michigan.
You going Michigan? Wow. Okay. All right. That would be huge for the program, especially the year that Juwan has had. Shout out to Juwan for having maybe the moment of the tournament, hugging the Tennessee kid the way that he did. I thought that was incredible.
Right.
And it was authentic. It wasn't, it wasn't contrived. It wasn't, he felt for the kid.
That was the kid that he was hugging. I didn't know this, but it was Vince Young's cousin.
Oh no, I did not know that. Wow.
I think it was just
they had a previous relationship, right? They knew each other. It wasn't like it was just like, random.
Well, it felt random. That's why I was pretty touched by it. So that was interesting that you said that.
It was still touching regardless, but
yeah. No, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So shout out to him, man, and it's kind of funny because we're such a forgiving nation. And so when he did it, everybody's like, oh, Juwan's a great guy. Look at him. And everybody's like, forgot that he almost tried to choke a man weeks before. So
trust me, they didn't forget. There's plenty of people on social media.
Twitter reminded us.
Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so Twitter reminded us. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, kids, which way are you going on that one?
That Arizona-Houston game scares me because I picked Arizona to go all the way to the championship game.
I did as well.
Just because I picked them. But that game scares me. Michigan-Villanova, I think will be a fun game. I'm gonna lean towards Villanova, even though Michigan's playing really well right now, but I'm leaning Minnesota. And I'm sticking with my guns. I have Arizona coming out of there.
I do as well. In fact, I technically have Arizona winning the whole thing, so I can't necessarily pick against them. But man, that is the worst possible matchup. Because if they thought TCU, and by the way, TCU once again best team on the floor, and I'm not even sure it was close. And here's the other thing: the Lampkin kid and the Moore kid, Mike Moore Jr., both sophomores.
Right.
So they're going to be around for a little while. And that is a 1-2 combination that could get you there. Like Jamie Dixon's got them playing really, really well. So they will be back. But if they thought that defense was something, man, I'm with you, Charlie. I think Arizona drew the absolute worst situation they could possibly draw. And it may – if they show up with the same level of play – against Houston that they played against TCU, they're going home.
Well, let me say that kid Matherin, I think that's his name.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Now
he's one of those guys.
He's the real deal.
Yeah, he's not a bad basketball player.
Yeah, no, he's the real deal. He is the real deal. And the other kid that's playing with them, they almost look like twins. What is
number 4?
Yeah, they almost look like twins. He played well as well, but I just don't think they can pull that off against Houston. Houston, with all due respect to the Lampkin kid, and I don't mean this in any hurtful way, but he's not in basketball shape yet. He's getting there, and he's got great footwork, and when he gets fully in shape, he's going to be hard to deal with because he's strong, he's got good instinct, his footwork is not bad, so he's going to be a problem. But he's not there yet. The Houston kids defensively are there. Yeah. And they are going – some of the stuff that the Arizona kids got away with, some of the rebounds they were able to get, some of the they're not going to be able to get that stuff against Houston. So
that's the thing about Houston, though, man. they put pressure on you on both ends.
Yeah.
So they shoot the ball and they go chase it. And
Yeah.
so you have to focus on that aspect. And what I saw, Arizona was playing two bigs.
Yeah.
Which one of those guys are going to have to guard, I don't know his name, but number 35, who can step out and make shots on the perimeter. So I'm not sure who that's going to be. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a good chess match on how they attack one another for sure.
The only bracket that does not have a number one seed is the one that gives us North Carolina, gives us UCLA, gives us Purdue and St. Peter's, which is, they have people singing their praises. What's going to be interesting, that's the East bracket, by the way. What's going to be interesting is to see, can the guys from New York, because they're tough enough to deal with what's got to happen on the court, but have they been tough enough to deal with the praise that's been taking place off the court? That's going to be the interesting part. Are they going to believe their own hype and come in with not necessarily the same level of intensity that they've showed in those first two rounds? Because the first two rounds is about proving something. Now you've already proven it, and Purdue is massive, and they don't have anybody that can stack up against them.
I don't think any of the outside stuff is going to really bug this team. What's going to bug this team is having to guard Jaden Ivey and the big men in the middle for Purdue.
Okay.
If they lose, it's not going to be because they got a big head. It's because they're guarding one of the best teams in the country.
You say that, and then they'll go out and get beat by 30. But who are you going with in this bracket, though?
Purdue is kind of like a sleeper to me to win the whole thing, just because of the way they're built. It's just Purdue just falls into that category that we all have of teams who just don't trust in the tournament. But that team is built to win a national championship with the size they have. And you have Ivy outside, and you got plenty of guards around who can shoot the ball. Purdue's built to win the national championship. They one of those teams.
They are a match-up problem for every team in this part of the bracket. I mean, they're just a problem. They are a problem. And low key, I wouldn't. I know the rest of the country wouldn't want it, and the TV networks definitely don't want it. But low key, I would love to see a Gonzaga Purdue game. I think that'd be a fun game to watch.
I think it'd be an excellent game.
But there's no other than Chet Holmgren. There's no names.
Timmy.
And Timmy. Yes.
Abby's a lottery pick. So I mean, there's plenty there.
I would love to see that, but I may, you know what? I may go with Purdue. I just think they're a problem. They present too many problems that you don't have answers for as a team. And toughness can get you so far, but talent, man, at some point is going to override toughness. And I think, God bless St. Peter's, you've been fun to watch, but I just don't know what your answer is. I don't know, Charlie. You're the coach. You won a championship, Charlie. You can tell us.
Yeah, you're the championship coach.
How does St. Peter's beat Purdue?
The same way they beat Kentucky.
Is that possible, though?
When you think about it, the people that's passing the ball into the bigs are guards, and if you can work to try to force them other guys outside of Ivy to play at a high level and make shots, then you may have a chance. And then if you're going to guard the big guys, I know I was watching the other night, I forgot who they were playing, Purdue. They were kind of leaving their big guys on the island and not, giving the appropriate help on the big
Texas game. Yeah, the Texas game.
I mean, they were just leaving those guys on the island. They lived in the lane, and they lived on the free throw line because they kept fouling them.
Yeah.
And so I'll be interested to see if St. Peter's just allow the bigs to play one-on-one with those other bigs, or will they give the appropriate help? And I'm not saying double team all the time, but you got to at least discourage the guy from dribbling 5 times before he makes a move. And then, you got to guard. Once the ball goes out, you got to find a way to guard the right people.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see if they make it tougher on their bigs to score. But the biggest thing is they got to keep those guys off the free throw line, the bigs off the free throw line, because they shot a lot of them the other night against Texas, and Texas ended up fouling out most of their big guys, and so they had an issue because they were in and out. Tony Allen the other night for Texas couldn't stand the game.
Yeah.
Because he kept fouling, and so that's going to play a big part in, I think, the outcome as well. If they can't guard their bigs appropriately and they can't get out of foul trouble, then they're going to have an issue. That's any team going to have an issue guarding Purdue.
And shout out to
I think it's going to be the difference. I think Purdue's going to get them in foul trouble.
Yeah.
If Kentucky had them in foul trouble. I mean, Sheway was dominant.
He played great. Yeah.
Yeah, and Purdue, and like I said, with Ivy's better than all the guards that Purdue and Kentucky, that Kentucky and Murray State both have. And so that's why I think that, and then them being able to get St. Peter's in foul trouble is going to be the difference in the game.
And shout out to the Texas coach who went on the greener pastures and then realized he didn't have enough money for the fertilizer in Texas. I know that felt like shade, didn't it? But shout out to Texas Tech for realizing we're just fine.
Texas, so,
huh?
It's towards Texas, so it's a program that cares more about a song than winning football games.
Oh man, the state of Texas is strong with this one. Okay, our final bracket is the only one that went chalk: Gonzaga, Arkansas, Texas Tech, and Duke. Ironically, the team that the coach of Texas left. That's my last shot. That was my last shot. But this is an interesting bracket because Gonzaga probably has the best team. Arkansas probably has the best defense. Texas Tech probably has the best cohesiveness. Duke has the best player. Who wins out? You can argue Duke. You can argue Duke has the best player. Some people might say it's homegrown with Gonzaga, but
it's between homegrown and
yeah.
But I'm going with the Zags. I'm going with the Zags not because of homegrown, because of Timmy. Because I think Timmy is one of those guys. I don't think he's going to be a great NBA player, but he's a great college basketball player.
Oh yeah, super smart.
And he's one of those guys who can just go out there and win you. I mean, he just did it. He can go out there and just win you a game. And that's why I like Gonzaga to go all the way this year.
Now, the only thing about Gonzaga is they had some issues in the last game where they had to make a comeback. And Timmy,
that's a talented Memphis team, though.
I understand that, but there's people talented as well that are getting ready to play. And I don't know, Memphis, I think they ended up maybe not underestimating Timmy because he went off in the second half.
Right.
And I just know the teams that they're getting ready to play are going to have their antennas up and focused. And Gonzaga can't have these lapses like they had against Memphis, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To try to move forward. You can have, times where you're not playing well and you may get down double digits, but you can't be down double digits, especially at the half, and then think it's going to happen every time.
Right.
And so I don't think they'll get into that predicament again. Hopefully they find what caused them to get in double figures, get down double figures. But I would like to see them because of Coach Few and him being there and not being able to, finish the deal all the years he's been there. I'd like to see him do it. But of course, I want to be a homer too. I'd like to see Duke and Coach K kind of get to the Final Four so that we can at least have that to talk about.
Well, I'll just say this for me. This tournament has lined up for Gonzaga even better than last year. If not now, when? If not now, ever. Will it ever happen for Gonzaga? because it's kind of right there. Like, there's not a team left that they can't beat if they're playing Gonzaga basketball. So we'll see, but I don't know. It's kind of lined up about as well as you can ask for it if you're the Zags.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, listen, it's going to be a fun weekend. Another fun weekend. And then, not to disrespect our ladies, but of course, we got a tight hour today because we got another show like in just a few minutes. But shout out to Louisville. Shout out to NC State, who is about to well, actually, NC State, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
We all up in there. I'm telling you, man.
We got two ACC teams playing against each other, though.
Yes. Yes.
NC State and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah. It's interesting to me that Notre Dame made it, especially rebounding after the drumming they took from Louisville. And it seemed like they looked like a totally different team the other night. I was like, well, man, maybe they got it figured out, or whatever ills they had, they put that aside and they're playing some of their best basketball. The women's tournament has provided a lot more shocking moments than I think any of us anticipated.
Because women's tournament is usually chalk, but it's not this year.
Shout out to Kim Mulkey too for going on the greener pastures and also realizing that the fertilizer is way more expensive in Baton Rouge than it was. I got a lot of shade today, though.
She made it further than her last team, right?
No, they got out at the same time. Yeah, LSU and Baylor both out.
LSU and Baylor went home at the same time.
They may have even been on the same flight.
So let me let you in on a little secret that's starting to happen. People are moving on not because of a program, because they're getting more money.
That's the secret.
That's the secret.
Okay.
Because Georgia women's coach just left Georgia to go to Texas A&M because they paid more. Probably a little bit more.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more.
Yeah.
So in this day and age, it's not about the program, fertilizer. It's about how much resources I can get out of this deal, as opposed to the fertilizer on the other side of the street.
And see, that's why you're our state championship coach, because of that wisdom right there.
Well, if in that case, we have to shout out U of L for sprinkling some water on the fertilizer here because they extended Jeff Walls.
We're gonna hold on to you forever, sir.
Exactly.
I want to give because we got about a minute left. I want to give time to give a shout out, and I'm sure Charlie, you will appreciate this, to the legendary Coach Sue, who wrapped up a phenomenal career at Florida State University. Not enough great things can be said about her impact on that program. And Charlie, you can probably speak to that better than any of us could.
Well, we talk about outstanding coaches, but even better people, a person, she's in that category. And so I was grateful to be able to know her over the years that I've been back in Tallahassee, but also even before that. But just phenomenal when it comes to just the person she is and the care she has for the kids and her staff. And of course, her being at Florida State for 24 years is crazy.
Yeah.
But I already offered her an opportunity to be on my FSUS staff. Hey,
there you go.
You want to retire? I'm retired too. We retired, and now we're doing something that we enjoy, teaching kids at a different level. So I'm just trying to hire at Florida State University School.
There you go. And by the way, shout out to her as well for training a well-prepared successor. Florida State. You don't have to look that far for the successor.
What are you talking about, Coach Brooke?
I'm just saying, Charlie, we know a person that could probably step in, slide down a couple of seats, and keep the train moving. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
So there you go.
I'm not on that committee, but I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you know people, Charlie, is what I'm saying. And now, and especially since you won a state championship, it's funny how people started listening to you more. It's like Charlie knows what he's talking about. He knows basketball. He's always known basketball.
Shocker.
Shocking, right?
He knows basketball.
Always known basketball. But anyway, listen, it's been fun. I wish we could keep it going, but I got a show in 14 minutes. That's Kendrick Haskins over there. The state championship, Florida, all around amazing guy, Mr. FSUS state champion Charlie Ward is our coach, their coach, everybody's coach.
Coach Junior.
Coach Junior. Y'all have a good one, man.
All righty.
Leaving the ACC. We out of here. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us